breaths. Can you hear me? Okay. So when I first sat down to write this, I tried and failed to think of a few tidy stories that could adequately represent my mom. So I switched to thinking about her impact, how she affected others, how she affected me. And since she's my mom, I guess it's natural for me to land on the lessons she provided, both in what she said and how she lived her life. So instead of a few long stories, I came up with a list of what I'll call Jean's principles. First, express gratitude. Thank people for what they do. Write a note, make them dinner, call, but in some way express your appreciation. And not just to be polite. Acknowledgement of someone's good deed or effort is worth reflection. She would be very grateful of everyone coming today. And everyone who reached out, brought a meal, flowers, or something to my parents in these past few months was truly appreciated. Next, everything should have its place. If things have a place and you put them back right away, your environment, and by extension, your life, will be orderly. My mom brought order and organization to every place she inhabited. And as anyone who has lived with Jean Bonta would know, the scissors have a place. And if you do not put them back where they belong, you will hear about it. As I've learned to appreciate order in my own settings, I try to follow her example. Next, why buy it new when you can buy it used? Which also is, why spend more money on something when you can get it at a fraction of the cost? My mom spent hours in thrift shops, yard sales, and auctions. She loved the hunt. And she especially loved providing for others with her thrifty finds. When Mark and I got married, instead of registering for expensive china, we lucked out when my mom found a complete set of vintage china that we loved at the Methodist thrift shop for $30. Over the years, she found more and more place settings, all for very little money. Now I have enough china to have you all over for lunch. She was proud of that. And this directly relates to the next one. Spend less than you make. Even if you don't make much, there's always a way to save. She was deeply frugal, disapproved of careless money management, and always prioritized saving. With a mind for numbers, she could track every penny and knew where the best deals were for everything. Gas, gallon of milk. She brought her money management prowess to Ashland Preschool, which my mom developed from under-enrolled classes in a floodplain basement into a thriving center that served thousands of families in a state-of-the-art new building. Next, establish and protect rituals. Holidays, special occasions, and even small, seemingly less important events can and should be celebrated. Psychologists preach this, but I'm pretty sure my mom knew this intuitively. She set the table with cloth table linens when we were growing up because a dinner with the family at the end of the day was important. It really upset her when, because of the pandemic, she couldn't shop for birthday cards. Even at the end of her life, when she could barely complete sentences, she still made sure that her grandchildren received a card for Valentine's Day and Easter. Welcome others into your home. No matter who you were, if you stopped by my parents' house, you would be welcomed, often with a meal. And that included the roofer, a gardener, or one of the many watch and clock folks who came to visit my dad. My and my brother's friends were always welcome. One of my friends, an exchange student from Denmark, ended up moving in. My mom was her second mom, and one of my brother's friends became her second son, and his children her beloved grandchildren. After she died, I ran into someone who did periodic gardening for my parents. He told me how much she mothered him. She always invited me into her house and made me a meal, he said. To him, that was mothering. To her, that was expected. Give good gifts. Gift giving was one of her love languages. She thought deeply about the recipient and enjoyed finding the perfect thing. One Christmas, when I was into vintage clothes, she gave me a pair of 1950s black leather elbow-length button-up gloves and a black velvet formal cape that sparkled with rhinestone fasteners and meant that I could be warm going out even while wearing a little black vintage dress. I'm pretty sure she didn't find these at the Hunt Valley Mall, where 1980s moms were supposed to shop. Value education. Great schools are essential, not just for your kids, but for all kids. If every child had access to high-quality education, the world would be a much better place. Ashland Preschool was not just caring for children. Their teachers and staff were developing people. My mom would rattle off statistics from studies that demonstrated how investing in quality educational programs led to lower crime rates, more economic opportunities, and better families. Consequently, she believed in treating and developing teachers well. I remember her persuading a reluctant Ashland preschool teacher to attend a professional conference and inviting my teachers over for dinner. She didn't, however, believe that teachers were always right. An elementary school teacher once admonished me for coloring outside of the lines. That was a mistake. Because ultimately, my mom sided with the children, hers and others. She believed that children need advocates and that adults sometimes didn't measure up when it came to serving their best interests, which is why we should invest in institutions that fill the gap. Parents should support their children, but not hover over them. She believed that children should be intrinsically motivated, not pushed into something by adults. She set very clear boundaries for Tony and me, but believed that setting overly rigid rules causes kids to rebel. Once, when I got a weird 80s haircut, someone asked my mom what she thought. She responded with, "Oh, she can wear whatever she wants as long as she doesn't walk next to me on the street." I never had a strict curfew, just guidelines to check in if I'd be out past a certain time, with the understanding that she didn't sleep well until she heard us come in. And I remember her commenting on a family friend saying he can set all the rules he wants, but his daughters are just going to jump out the window in the middle of the night. And finally, don't worry about what other people think of you. I left this for last because this principle had such a great impact on me. At a time when many women were taught not to express their opinions, to please people around them, she had the confidence to speak her mind. And I think all of this stems from a certain level of confidence in adhering to her principles. We all have our own lens, and I'm sure you have your own stories to tell about my mom. I hope to hear some today. Obviously, we will miss her greatly, but in reflecting on her legacy, the principles she lived by, and the memories we have, she continues to live in us. Thank you.